Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and Kurosawa enthusiasts the world over, we have finally reached our moment. This is the time, the place, the hour, the event that I've been anticipating for years. Finally, a new Akira Kurosawa Blu-ray release. It's been so long. It's been since 2016, I believe, 6 years ago, that Criterion released the wonderful Akira Kurosawa's Dreams from 1990. Phenomenal film, and ever since then, it's been a drought. We've had no new Akira Kurosawa films brought to Blu-ray, brought to high definition in English-friendly form. And so it's just been a kind of blight for me as a Kurosawa fan that there's been so many of his great films that have not been represented on Blu-ray for an English-speaking audience. And it took one little upstart Australian label to rectify this grave error in the high-definition Blu-ray collecting world. And not only that, this is a Blu-ray update for the ages. This is a holy grail for me, and I'm really not laying this on thick for effect. I am so beyond excited to show you this film I've now finally added to my collection. The fact that I have this film in my collection now makes it feel like my collection is more complete. You know, there's some films that you get, and yeah, it's nice to have that in a collection. No, this one is a collection completer. It's one of the ones that I feel like I can't have a collection without this film in it, and it's an absolute thrill to me to finally receive and talk about the new release from Imprint, spine number 158 in the collection if you're counting, the 1975 underrated classic, DERSU UZALA. Words escape me. This is an absolutely phenomenal film. I've talked about it before on the channel. I reviewed it as part of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1,000 More Movies You Must See Before You Die. It's also featured with that same segment in my marathon video, Kurosawa in Color. So it's a video I'm very proud of. I kind of talk about and review every film Akira Kurosawa made in color from 1971 onwards until the early 90s. And that run is the films Dodeskuden, DERSU UZALA, Kagemusha, Ran, Dreams, Rhapsody in August, and Madadayo. I believe those are the 7. And I think it's such an underrated period of this black and white master's career because, I mean, Kurosawa, the films that he made, you know, pretty much from the beginning, there was always that spark I felt right from Senshido Sugata Part 1. But once you hit like Rashomon, and then you go to Ikiru, and then you go to Seven Samurai, and then Hidden Fortress, and, you know, Throne of Blood, and then Yojimbo and Sanjuro. Redbeard, I still haven't seen Redbeard because I'm holding out for a Blu-ray. And there are other films I still haven't seen, and some of them I'm just waiting for like some company to pull their finger out and start releasing these films. And Imprint have laid down the gauntlet and said, we're going to fucking release DERSU UZALA. And it's probably down to the rights. This is owned by Mosfilm and was a Russian production. And we'll talk all about that once I review this disc and talk about all the special features, because there's special features. This film, I feel like, is this lost classic. But in looking in the special features now, I realize that this was an esteemed film when it was made and when it was released. It won an Oscar for foreign film. But I feel like our modern, film community doesn't really know much about this film or have even seen it because of the lack of availability. I saw this on the Criterion channel, which may have been Filmstruck at the time, 5 years ago, and it knocked my socks off. Always been kind of intrigued by it, this weird Russian film that Kurosawa made in the 70s. But holy shit. Fell in love with the film. Instant all-time favorite film. Had no Blu-ray release except for, I think in Italy maybe, there was this European Blu-ray that had no English subtitles. It's like, well, no use to me there. I'm not sure if it has a Blu-ray release in Japan, but either way, just someone put this out on Blu-ray with English subtitles, and it took so long. Like, you think about the fact that the Blu-ray format is like, you know, in its third decade, technically. It's going to be about 20 years old in a few years' time. And it's taken this long for us to get just an English-friendly release of DERSU UZALA. But I hope that this leads to a new appraisal of the film. I hope this leads to more people watching this film, being interested in this film. I hope this video will spur you on to check out this film, because I think it's just a fantastic epic, and I think it's one of Kurosawa's best films. So this is just as you can expect with Imprint, a nice slip box, tells you all the extras on the back. We get an audio commentary, 2 featurettes, and we'll run through this in the review in a lot more detail once I've watched all these. I'll come back to you with a review video. And you get a number of interview pieces with the actor who plays Arseniev in the film. You get a US trailer, and you get a short making-of documentary as well that was filmed on set. So some really cool vintage stuff here. And yeah, just a boatload of really cool stuff. But then you get the nice artwork on the slipcover. You get the different artwork on the front there. There's DERSU himself. Yeah. It's so hard to describe the utter thrill that you get when a film that you love so dearly has finally been given some of the attention that it deserves. The only kind of, wouldn't even call it a downside or a flaw, is that this isn't an amazing transfer by any means, especially because of the film stock that was used when Kurosawa shot this in Russia was not of the kind of quality that he was used to, like Kodak or whatever else. And so the film by its nature doesn't look as crisp and amazing as you might see in some of his other films that have been transferred to high definition. But this also hasn't been restored either. And I've heard rumblings that that this film someone's trying to restore it, so it might be an ongoing thing. I don't know. But regardless, it still looks great because the film looks so great, you know. And I flicked through the film. Just whacked it right in the player. Just flicked through and watched some of my favorite moments, and just thought, God, this is a stunning film visually. You know, it's a true kind of not man versus nature, but man with nature. But it's really this beautiful story of friendship, and it's a true story as well. And that's another one of the great special features on here. I'm really looking forward to checking out archival footage of the real Vladimir Arseniev, who wrote a book about meeting this wild man out in the wilderness of Siberia called DERSU UZALA, and the friendship that they formed with him as they were surveying and creating maps and stuff. And Arseniev was a legendary Russian explorer, and they made a film of DERSU, but this is the Kurosawa version, but he made it in Russia. It's a Russian film. There's no Japanese characters or anything. It's all done in the Russian language, and it's, you know, Kurosawa, he grew up as a big fan of Russian literature, and he even made a few films based on Russian novels, but went all the way over there. And it's, you know, it's a certain part of Kurosawa's career which was a down point. He tried to commit suicide a few years before this, after his film Dodeskiden had done so terribly, and this was him bouncing back and kind of going out of his comfort zone a little bit and going to a completely different country for a year to make this film. But it was, you know, it resulted in something truly special, I think. For me, it's one of my all-time favorite films. I'm so happy to own it. Just having it on the shelf is nice, even if I never watched it, but I will many, many times. And to get it with extras and a nice slipcover with gorgeous, beautiful artwork. It's moments like these as a film collector I absolutely, again, cherish. And this now sits proudly amongst the rest of my Kurosawa collection, which is far too minimal. I mean, can we talk about the fact that like none of his like films before Rashomon have Blu-ray releases? I'm sure the materials exist, even if they're not in great condition. I think someone's got to step up and like, because it feels like, you know, Criterion have had the monopoly on Kurosawa releases, and no one else has really tried. I mean, BFI have done a few things. They did the Samurai box set, and BFI, to be fair, have released a lot of Kurosawa's films on DVD as well. But with the high definition market and Blu-rays, it's slim pickings. I mean, again, most of his classics, you know, have been represented Ran, actually, Studio Canal put out a 4K release of Ran, which is fantastic. I haven't got the 4K yet, but the 4K restoration is excellent. But, you know, we got Yojimbo Senjuro, Rashomon, High and Low, Throne of Blood, Hidden Fortress, Ikiru, Rashomon, Dreams, Seven Samurai, of course. But there's these great films that he made before that, and during that time, Redbeard is a big one that I'm still holding off on watching because I want to see it in high definition if I can. And I feel like I've been waiting like over 10 years now to see Redbeard because I just assumed that someone would surely at some point release the damn thing on Blu-ray. I don't know if maybe there is a Blu-ray in Japan, you know, and yeah, maybe I could get a copy of that and rip it and get subtitles. But you know, I want it to be the right way, you know. And I'm also kind of, you know, I don't want to have seen everything from Kurosawa because that'd be a sad day. Because it's nice knowing I have a few in my back pocket that I've yet to watch. But you know, Drunken Angel, I'd love to see on Blu-ray. The Men Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail, that's an underrated gem. Love to see that on Blu-ray. You know, so there's and his color films, Dodeskiden, I think would look great on Blu-ray with all those colors and the very expressionistic kind of style of some of that stuff. And I even love his later films, Rhapsody in August and Madadayo. Madadayo, I think, is one of the great final films from a notable director. So there's lots of ways for companies to go. Will it be Imprint? Will Criterion finally say, hey, we're doing more Kurosawa after 18 years or whatever the gap has been? And I almost feel like, are they just holding out for some Uber box set? Because if they are, that would be a blank check situation for me. I've talked about that before. Anyway, enough waffling about that. This is the main article. DERSU UZALA. So happy to get this in the collection. DERSU! Capitan! Holy shit. I feel like that scene. I feel like this is out in the distance through the woods and it's... I'm like, DERSU! It's like, Luke! He comes running towards me. Oh, we can't get over the tree. And then we find the part of the tree and we hug. And oh my god. So happy. This is where the most animated you'll ever see someone as docile as me. I'm just fucking thrilled, man. Ah, what a film. What a film. I'll come back soon with a review of this, rundown of the extras. This might be my release of the year, I think. And that's with a 4K of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles coming next month with an hour and 15 minutes of deleted scenes. So that's a huge deal, but DERSU might take it. It's just the film alone that I love so dearly. But I love that they've given this the kind of the prestige kind of release. So Imprint, I will love you forever for that. That's just... And isn't that nice that there's with these boutique labels, you know, there's probably so many people who get like, I'm trying to think of like an example off the top of my head. Well, let's just take like the recent Eureka Masters of Cinema release of Hunchback of Notre Dame. There might be someone out there who loves this film so much and was waiting for a UK Blu-ray of it and is just over the moon with it. It's those kinds of things that there's always going to be someone out there who the film that you're releasing and putting so much love and care and attention and detail into, they're going to be so thrilled with it. You know, oftentimes with us collectors, we look at all the new things, go, oh, that looks interesting, that looks nice. But, you know, for every film, there's someone who loves that film so dearly, like I love this film so dearly. And it's just a great thing when those two things connect. And for me, over the moon, absolutely over the moon. So thank you for watching. I'll now put this in amongst the rest of my collection where it rightly belongs. And I'll see you very soon. I will follow up with a review of the film. We'll talk a bit more about the film itself and give you my rundown of the extras, and I'll show you the packaging in closer detail because it does deserve its own kind of review. This was just me as a Blu-ray update, just, you know, releasing that joy. So yeah, thank you for watching. And if you've seen the film, please let me know your thoughts down below. And I would highly recommend grabbing it while it's still there. I think the imprint runs are fairly low-ish. They tend to stick around for quite a while, unless it's like a fancy box set. But I would, you know, I would jump on it. I would put down the money for this. If you're asking me, that's again, it feels like an underrated, underseen, underlooked, underappreciated, lost masterpiece. But you know, I know that it has been highly regarded by, you know, film fans for a very long time. But I think that these days you never hear anyone talking about it ever, you know. And so I hope this changes that and maybe points people in the direction of it a little bit more. So fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. and I'll see you in the next one, which will no doubt be me being a whole lot less enthused or excited about anything else than this. It's a rare one. It's feel like popping open some champagne, even though I don't drink. So a nice cold can of full fat Coke instead. It is, with a dash of Fireball whiskey and a viewing of one of my all-time favorite films. Thank you for watching.